Good morning to everyone. Thank you for taking the time and being a part of the agenda to hear us share the great things that's happening in Crowley ISD. Today's presentation is as titled, Educating the Whole Child, the Accelerating Campus Excellence, as well as the Problem-Based Learning in African American Studies. So really, I wanted to give you the why behind these two areas that we decided to focus on for this summit. What we did was conduct a quality CISD analysis, and using that data allowed us to understand really what we need to prioritize, as well as what was really the critical opportunities for school actions, as well as targeted interventions. And that was just some of the information that we were able to extract from the quality CISD analysis. But what we recognize is that we had really B campuses at the secondary level, but a focus needed to be really placed on the elementary level. And so we're going to talk about that today, as well as really looking at how we can provide more additional options for our families that's responsive to the students, as well as engaging the students in learning opportunities and experiences that will continue to push those B campuses at the secondary level to an A. And so really, that will be the gist of today's conversation. I have here today Rolanda McKenzie, who was the principal at the J. Hargrave campus, as well as Amanda McHugh, who was the lead curriculum writer for African American Studies and is our coordinator of innovation. And so, go to the next slide. So as you see here, again, it's just a high-level overview of our quality CISD analysis, focused on two areas, really the campus level data, as well as our district level data. And as I share with you, our findings from what we recognized was our secondary level campuses were B seats. Our elementary levels were our focus needed to primarily be focused on. And so we had J. Hargrave was identified as a campus that was had historically been IR for consecutive years. And then we need to do something because we recognize that we were able to, with the district support, move J. Hargrave from a IR to a C, but we wanted to really focus on sustainability. And so you can go to the next slide. So really what we wanted to focus on is really how to use that quality CISD analysis to focus on the whole child and really equip our children to be prepared for the future, really to thrive in a global society. And so really that's when we talk about the whole child, we're talking about our children as they leave Crowley ISD and who they will be beyond our district. And so really those two focuses that we took was really the campus level approach that focused on the intervention and improving the quality seats at J. Hargrave, and really a district approach where we focused on in implementing a problem-based learning project using African ancestry, a part of our African American Studies course that really focused on a response to the community needs and desires at the secondary level to continue to engage our students. So before I turn it over to Ms. McKenzie, I want to kind of again explain the reason for this response and action that we took in regards to J. Hargrave. As you see here, 2015 to 16, in 16, 17, and 17, 18, the campus was IR. And then we were able to really intervene as a district to bring that campus to a C. So it was some, phenomenal work that was going on. But we wanted to focus on, is sustainability and moving all our campuses from really even C to A and B seats and quality seats across the district. And so we wanted to make sure that the work that we're focusing on could be sustainable for long-term success for our students. And so we use this intervention model in choosing to partner with ACE and working with Big Rocks, which Ms. McKenzie will share with you, was really is the plan to ensure that the campus success could be sustained. And so now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. McKenzie, who is the principal at J. Hargrave, to kind of talk about the work that transpired at J. Hargrave. Ms. McKenzie.
Well, good morning to everyone. I'd like to begin sharing an overview of the foundational concepts of ACE with the partnership of BRES, which is Big Rocks Educational Services, where we implemented instructional best practices that changed the academic performance of J.A. Hargrave. The first thing we did is we really thought it was very important that we were strategic about hiring staff who were result-oriented and student-centered. This was done through a rigorous process. We vetted teachers within the district that had 3 or more years of experience and examined their impact on student results with a follow-up of a formal interview process. As we looked at we identified several big rocks to implement. However, the two that I really want to focus on is the importance of creating a whole school and classroom culture. So whole school culture is how we begin to live and operate in our entire building and also in our common areas. It was important for students to arrive to school excited about being in school, and staff, how our students walked in the hallway, how they performed and exhibit behavior in the cafeteria, as well as dismissal. Classroom culture, it was very important that during our rigor walks that we operated based on our whole school norms, but we wanted 90% to 100% of our students on task and engaged as the focus that occurred in the classroom. We know that PLCs are the heart of our instructional meetings, but we also wanted to include the rigor during those meetings. And so the implementation of the structure of the Look Forward meeting was the focus of focusing on upcoming high leverage SEs that needed to be taught to our students. We also have a look back instructional meeting, which really focused on data-driven instruction, where we looked at SEs that students did not perform well on and determined how to reteach those concepts and skills. In an effort to support academic growth and student interest, STEM and project-based learning STEM and based learning project clubs were implemented during the school, where so many of our students were given the variety of opportunities to participate in science, technology, engineering, and math, while still reviewing academic support on specific SEs. As I take a look back at some of how whole school culture and the classroom culture really affected our discipline. From the previous year, you could see from the chart, we had 144 referrals before I entered into the campus. But implementing the big rocks of whole school and classroom culture decreased that percentage 70%. We decreased 70% of referrals occurring in 1 year. And just to bring you up to date this year, we decreased during the pandemic 60% of our referrals. So the previous year we had 43 referrals, were decreasing of 70%. And this year we only had 17 referrals of decreasing at 60%. So when you can decrease the discipline on your campus, well, the only thing left is to really focus on instruction. So the importance, I just want to sum up by saying the importance of student support in this whole school culture, building, that classroom culture, and really focusing on 90 to 100% of your students on task engaged really does help change the trajectory of academic performance.
And I do want to jump in right here, Ms. McKenzie, and really talk about the data results that we saw at J. Hargrave to really focus on the math and the reading areas. As you see here, there was increase at all levels in regards to our student performance. It meets masters and approaches level, and as you can see, corresponding with the color coded approaches meets and masters, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But we did see, even in response to COVID year, the systems that were implemented at J. Hargrave, we were able to still make significant gains, especially with cohorts of students. We also saw some tremendous gains in regards to cohorts, the students that were our third grade students who are current fifth grade. And so we recognize that the systems that we've implemented need to be continued to scale out. And actually now we're in the process of taking those systems and scaling them out across other campuses within our district. So those best practices that were established are now what we are continuing to scale out. So I just wanted to touch briefly on the data here. And I know Ms. McKenzie can answer any questions later, but I wanted to jump in. Thank you. All right. So for the next part, I apologize. I assume. So the next part really focuses on the work in regards to district-wide and courses that we offer. Our district offers Latinx as well as African American Studies courses, but we wanted to definitely take a different approach in engaging coursework really that engages the students. We do recognize that it was obviously a pandemic year, so students were doing a lot of this work virtually, but we wanted to continue to engage our students. So at the secondary level, primarily our high schools, we had campuses that were B-rated campuses, and our focus is how do we move those B-rated campuses to an A-rated campuses at both North Crowley and Crowley High School. So really what we want to do is looking at the students, the demographics, looking at the curriculum, looking at what we already offer. We wanted to expand those opportunities for our students. And so what we recognize is that there was a desire to engage students in different activities, such as, we have the African American Studies Quiz Bowl. We do different cultural events throughout the district. But how do we take our courses to engage our students more, to increase their engagement as a whole? So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Amanda McHugh, that led the work as a district in the innovative courses that was offered by the state. And I'm going to let Ms. McHugh speak at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams, for the introduction. Mr. Barber, do you mind going to the next slide for us, please? And so what we're going to do is we're going to share a video with you that kind of recaps the experience and the transformation work that went in and get the student and parent perspective as it engages to our work from our QSA on building and engaging coursework and really empowering our students in their lives and learning. Mr. Barber, do you mind, I think it's going to start in the middle. Do you mind rewinding it to the back all the way to the beginning, please? Thank you.
I'm more confident in my story. And I guess one thing to say, I'm from Africa or my people from Africa, but now I can tell you where exactly.
It mended something that was broken in me. I really enjoyed knowing myself.
I found a part of me that I didn't really know about. Something I knew was missing, but I really didn't know. I knew I was Black, but I want to know more about me and how I became me.
In April 2020, the State Board of Education approved innovative courses for African American Studies. And at that time, the board approved for us to implement it here in Crowley. We wanted to take the approach of the DNA with the partnership with African Ancestry to connect the students to the course and going back to Africa to find their origins and their tribes for their families. And so that was the approach that we took, uniquely different than anyone in the state of Texas and honestly, different than anyone in the United States.
With the African Ancestry Reveal, We did it over a Zoom call. Of course, a handful of my students and myself, we took part in it, and it was powerful, especially as a Black man, just given our history, in this country, in the United States. For me personally, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and it's like I learned myself, or I saw myself for the first time.
You don't want to feel lost in yourself. Like, you want to learn more about where you come from, who you're part of, and everything. And I feel like everybody should be able to know that information.
Let's find out where you're from, Miss Brown. We traced your ancestry to the country of Ghana. And I was very excited about this because we don't find Ghana as a result very often. It's a very special occasion.
Actually, I was in the car with my mom, and she was there with the reveal, and we were just both excited, and it just made me so excited to figure out wow, this is where I came from.
You share ancestry with the Akan people. They are known for kente cloth. You see all the beautiful cloth that these different people are wearing, the kings and the chiefs, and also the young women. The Dawafe is my favorite Adinkra symbol. It symbolizes beauty, Ms. Brown. And so I want to encourage you to look at yourself every day and say how beautiful you are.
It was a very powerful moment. There were tears shed, tears of joy. My students were excited, but they shared with me that their parents were more excited.
I can tell that her self-confidence has changed. It has made a good shift, a shift for the good. And it has actually helped her in knowing, hey, I am a beautiful Black girl. I come from riches. I am a princess now, but soon to be a queen. It really meant something to me for her to hear that from somebody else. And for me to hear it too, because it actually helped me as well.
I was waiting for my name to get called, and when I heard Ayanna Miller and all that, it was from Nigeria, I was like, wow. And so I texted my mom, and she was excited to hear that she was from Nigeria too, since it's from your mom's side. So like, wow, so I told all my family, and it was so surprised.
Just having access to that information was powerful, it was groundbreaking, and I just look forward to, doing it in years to come, because I think it's very necessary for you to know your story.
I will say this, I think the African American story is a powerful story of perseverance and great determination. And in the 400 plus years that we've been here, we've made some tremendous strides and achievements that's miraculous. But our story doesn't begin in slavery.
You ladies share ancestry with people living in a country called Gabon.
This whole session was really, for me, built on that, finding who I was, finding that big piece. It mended something that was broken in me. I really enjoyed knowing myself and knowing that I mean something. It feels like, you're powerful. You're like, ooh, I can shoot out ice balls right now, something, or jump high or run fast, it puts a lot of power in you. And I feel the power, even now. It's like, run.
And so thinking about, again, our QSA and empowering our students in their lives and learning, just thinking back from this initial year, Dr. Williams mentioned, but one of our goals in CISD is to focus on all our students being equipped with social, emotional, and academic skills to thrive when they leave us. And this approach and this course has allowed us to do that. And if you see the quote on the side of your screen, I feel like that is what we were able to accomplish, tying our curriculum and our students' sense of self and tying that together. He also mentioned that we have a very strong established cultural connection in our district. We have our Hispanic Heritage Bowl, and we have our African American Studies Bowl in looking what we're going to do in the future to expand and continue to build the community connection to our families, to our students. In the future, we hope to embed this experience within those events so that our elementary, middle, and other high school students are able to feel this connection and build this connection with our district and see the opportunity for the future. And so with our partnership and with Black History 365, which was our textbook, and the African Ancestry, this impacted not only our students' knowledge, but again, it brought our families together and allowed them to share this experience with their students. And so research affirms the students who participate in ethnic studies are more academically engaged. They develop a stronger sense of self and self-efficacy and a personal engagement and empowerment to school, to curriculum, and to their lives. And so they're able to better perform academically and graduate at higher rates. And so this course and this opportunity has allowed us to build that connection to our students, to our family, and our community.
So really wanting to chime in and talk really about our demographics. As you see here, our district majority is African-American students, and then we have about 36% Hispanic students and about 12% white students. And when we look at our curriculum, engaging our students and really looking at our quality analysis, and we're breaking down that we want to provide those opportunities for our students to really grow and thrive in a learning environment that's conducive to their needs and their desires. And we know that as a district, we have placed great emphasis on providing those opportunities for our families and students to see themselves within curriculum. And this was one of our approach to take a really real world application. And I know students see DNA testing on the television screens all the time, but never really connected to a curriculum. For our students who are not African American, we offered with them a ancestry kit that wasn't African ancestry, but we wanted students to know their origins beyond being, just from the United States. Oftentimes, students will find that their family makeup is from people from all over the world, and that we're a global society and not just really focused on the construct of race, but more so understanding how we all work together and how we got to this and how history is written based on, people as we move. So really just utilizing our QSA data from a district level and looking at our demographic breakdowns and how can we engage our families in ways that's authentic to them, as well as empowering them with information and knowledge was really our approach that we took with this. And we definitely are proud of the work that we were able to accomplish this year. I know next year when students are coming back face to face, we'll see more students to get the chance to participate in that opportunity. So I believe, go to the next slide. So if there's, is that the last slide? I'm sorry. So at this time, really, we would like to open floor. I know we have about 15 minutes. So I don't know exactly how long before in the next sessions, but we wanted to provide any opportunities for any questions for Ms. McKenzie and Ms. McHugh. Because it's a combined presentation, we wanted to give them the opportunity to answer and respond to any questions you may have. I believe Ms. Tori is reading the chat if you got anything.
We did have a question earlier with the discipline data that was showed for Ms. McKenzie during the presentation. Ms. McKenzie, are you off mute?
Yes, what was the question?
It was there a decrease in specific student group data?
Specific data in regards to the types of referrals or students?
It says specific student group data. It's,
so
like
Amanda,
in the chat. Oh,
this is Darrington Ramsey. That was me who asked that question. And so specific student groups such as students with disabilities that maybe have multiple labels. Maybe they're a student with disability that happens to be African American or Latinx or an English learner, emerging bilingual, or students of color, students who are experiencing poverty. I think the data you showed was all data. And so I'm wondering, were the decreases for those specific student groups as significant as the all student data? And if so, can you talk a little bit about what that looked like?
Well, our school is pretty much 53% African American and about 41% Hispanic. So the decrease in those particular demographics obviously was in our boys, our African American boys specifically. And so what we also did this year that we didn't implement right away last year is really look at the focus of our African American students and those specific students that were returning. And we implemented a bow tie club, which was implemented by my assistant principal. And not only did we track their discipline, all of a sudden some lights went out here that we didn't track. We tracked their discipline, but we also tracked their academic performance. I hope I answered your question. I'm in the dark.
You know, you have to stand the motion lights. So I saw a question about, and McHugh, you might give an answer about the author of the book. I believe it's Dr. Milton. And
yes. So if you're referring to like which company or anything, Black History 365 is their standalone, and so the author and the founder is Walton Milton, and I believe you can go to their site and find more information.
So I see a question about the privacy concerns in regards to DNA. So what we did contact our district lawyer to review like a permission slip to allow students to engage in the actual testing for the DNA. Because African Ancestry is an outside entity, what we did was, once they did a consent form, they sent directly the results of the swab to their laboratory, and then they have to actually activate the kit at home with their personal information, and the parent is the one who actually activates the kit, and so the information is sent directly to the parent, and so the information is not sent directly to the district. We do not know any of the information that was sent to them, but when we do the reveal, to be a part of the reveal, that was a part of the actual consent form to publicly share your tribal origins and the breakdown of all the DNA in the reveal. So that was the way we were able to kind of maneuver that and ensure that we were able to get the students involved, but no information was ever provided to the district. It was all going through a third-party vendor, and this African Ancestry, and they had all the information. I hope that answered the question, Mr. Stubblefield.
Dr. Williams, thank you for sharing. This is Darrington Ramsey. I have another question. I'm wondering, and I appreciate the student agency and sort of cultural competency that's happening on the campus level. I'm wondering, what did that look like, or what might be your thinking about how that level of sort of cultural awareness, cultural responsiveness, cultural competency, what does that look like for the adults in the system? Say teacher level, paras, district level administrators, all the way up to the executive cabinet, as a way of sort of building this sort of systemic awareness that then potentially sort of expands and allows you to scale in the way that you've discussed.
So one of the things I will tell you that, Dr. Michael McFarland, our superintendent, is very forward thinking, and a lot of the things that we're implementing will be scaled through several components throughout the district. What we have is a program that we're implementing, is STEM Plus, and we're looking at how to, provide additional training to educators to better prepare students, as well as really engaging those discussions that can be tough for adults. Oftentimes, what we know is that in some areas, what we've been doing is not working, and we have to take a new approach. So really, it's a lot of reflective practices that have to be implemented. That is often a little bit slower than what we desire, but we are moving in the right direction. And what we recognize is really focusing on the needs of our kids is our priority, and focusing on the kids and putting the kids center of the work is really how we transform our district. And so everything that we're doing will impact students, and as we impact our students by providing these opportunities, we recognize that we can catch and provide professional development for our teachers, for our principals, and it is, again, it's a different work, but I do believe that as a nation, we're moving into directions of trying to figure out how to actually engage students in culturally relevant material and to be responsive to the needs of the community. And I believe that we're taking the right steps to do so in our district, and really looking at how to embed these practices in other content area outside of just history. But we're looking at how to do that through STEM, as well as after school clubs and whatnot. So that's our approach at this time.
Thanks for sharing, Dr. Williams.
Any additional questions?
I don't see any in the chat. I'm watching.
I am wondering, actually, Alyssa added a comment about student outcomes data and how that was very different than what was shared yesterday. Alyssa, I'm wondering if you could take yourself off mute and kind of give some voice to that comment or question, and then maybe open it so that the Crowley team can share their thoughts as well.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I was just floored the first time I heard about this data, and excited to see it again today, that despite all of the challenges of the pandemic, students at Hargrave not only maintained their performance, but grew. And, the commissioner shared this very depressing data that overall scores have been going down, and that, we're seeing major dips, particularly in math, and particularly for low-income students and for students of color. And so at a school with a high percentage of low-income students and Black and Latinx students, you're showing us here that, like, you fucked that trend. And I'm curious, what about the model that you're implementing made this possible, because it's so unique across the state?
Yes, so I'll let Ms. McKenzie, but one of the things that definitely for the work that at J. Hargrave was really just the intentional focus, the focus on really growing teachers, getting them prepared for everyday lessons, having high expectations. The campus culture really spoke to letting every student succeed and not making excuses regardless of the pandemic, getting parents involved early, calling them to the school. Ms. McKenzie did everything in her power to provide those opportunities. And there were some things that we, made some modifications and tweak in regards to the curriculum to address those gaps. And some of those things that we're doing, what we're calling the iNetwork here in Crowley ISD, we'll be doing at other campuses to see the work, because we recognize that there's going to be significant gaps that was created from the pandemic that we're going to have to cover. So we're going to utilize and scale out those practices that we saw at J. Hargrave to other campuses. But Ms. McKenzie, you're on.
What I'd like to add is that first year really was the key of really implementing consistent instructional practices that we were learning and aligning to Big Rocks. And so as a leadership team, it's very important that we created and implemented weekly calendars that focused on that focused and centered around the instruction. When I go back to that 90 to 100% of our students being on task engaged was very important, but yet very important that every one of our teachers actually met that expectation. Because after, of course, students being engaged and focused, then you really start to work on the rigor of that, the rigor of instruction, where we really focused on unpacking SCs with our teachers to where they created LOs that were bite-sized and can be done in one day, focused around high leverage SCs. So with our rigor walks, We also did real-time coaching in the classroom and provided feedback using and Get Better Faster and leverage leadership 2.0, that those structured processes really helped. There's nothing like creating a culture. I think the one thing that after my I guess this would be my 9th year being a principal, is seeing and living that whole school culture of our students and with our staff. And it's just phenomenal. But the data in itself with discipline, anytime you can decrease the discipline, and I know all of us know this, but when you actually see it, you can increase your time that you spend with instruction. And that's what we've done for the past 2 years. During the pandemic, it was just important that we continued the rigor and did not change our expectations, as well as I didn't, of the teachers and students. But we just tried to make sure that our students received a normal experience, no matter what platform of instruction we were providing them.
And I want to add to just really what we recognize from a comparative campus and looking at within our district, and I'm sure across the state, when you look at math, because those skills are built upon from grade level to grade level, we did see on some campuses significant decreases, and we recognize that's an area of opportunity for us to really grow as a district, even in pandemic. But what we did see is that there was minimal slippage, or about 2% in our meets and masters level, but an increase in our approaches. So what we recognize is that what we were doing was working and continue to work. And again, looking at how to strengthen those systems and to look at those off-level teaks and from the previous year to make sure that we reinforce those things, because kids missed quite a bit of instruction, and to make sure that we cover the ground. So a lot of the work that we'll be doing in the iNetwork in Crowley, we'll really focus on how to continue to move these numbers in the meets and masters level, as well as continue to capture those students at the approaches level. And in our focus for all our campuses that's in the iNetwork is really the math skills that are needed that may have been lost due to the pandemic, and really trying to provide additional days and longer. And one of the things about J. Hargrave, obviously it is a hour additional each day. We're starting another campus that will be 30 additional days, and we believe that we'll be able to cover those grounds that's needed to really see the work that's continue the work that we've been doing.
Dr. Williams, this is Darrington Ramsey again, and to Rolanda and Amanda. I'm wondering, again, thank you for sharing. I'm wondering, the lessons you're learning around curriculum instruction and assessment specifically, how are you thinking about using those lessons to potentially support and service those campuses that may or may not be within the sort of being adopted by a partner such as ACE? Those schools that are still operating within your traditional sort of school model.
So Darren, I think I know you were direct. So in a network, we are scaling out some of those best practices from a district level and not with a partnership. But what we've learned is that what those systems are and to determine how we take. So Miss McKenzie is no longer the principal at J. Hargrave. She is now what we're calling executive principal, and she is falls into the network that I'm responsible for. And so some of those best practices, in order to scale them, we're utilizing the executive principal to work with as well with a zone manager that will provide the supports needed to ensure that campus culture and the rigor planning and the campus walk is a part of the culture. Once we nail down the process at the 3 campuses that we have in our network, we'll scale that to other campuses throughout the district, which is the way we're going to continue to approach the improvement for our quality STEES analysis, so we can have at the elementary level, so we can have A and B campuses. What we know is the trajectory of Hargrave and other campuses. We know the practices. We just are systemizing it to where we can scale it out to other campuses, and that's what our work is.
Thank you, and congratulations to this courageous work you all are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know, I believe if Tori is sharing contact information, any information is needed, I believe there's, we'll share that with you all.
And I think we could, it's up to Crowley team, it's up to you all. If you'd like to stay on for a couple minutes until 12:15, you're certainly welcome to if anybody has any questions. But other than that, we could go ahead and wrap up. I'll leave it up to you, Dr. Williams, Amanda, Mrs. McKenzie.
Yeah, we can stay back definitely to answer any questions anybody have or share information. But if everyone is free to go, we'll stay back. Thank y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting and very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Williams.
Yes, yes.
Yes, this is Pastor Bill Stubblefield. I'm the vice president here in Lubbock ISD. And I'm of the school, but I'm interested from the school board's perspective. What was there pushback in the adoption of this curriculum? Was there buy-in? I'm just wondering, how was that conversation had?
So, you know, one of the great things our district, we have a lot of educators on our school board and really forward-thinking school board members that want to provide as many opportunities. I know the community reaches out to them and share the desires to do different things. And I believe when the idea was first kind of thought of in regards to the African ancestry, it was brought to Miss Connie Isabel, which is our deputy superintendent. She shared it with Dr. McFarland. And you know, he went to work to have a conversation with the school board to see if there was going to be any hesitation or pushback. There was none. They were all for it. And actually, every time we've had opportunity to talk about it, they're always excited and proud of the work that we're doing. And they've been supportive. So, you know, we haven't received any resistance. You know, they were part of the reveal. Other superintendents for other part of the state were part of the reveal as well. You know, for us, we're just doing the work that really our community is desiring, and we're trying to provide those opportunities uniquely different than anyone else. So we're just going to continue to push the envelope, really.
I appreciate you for sharing, and I applaud the courageous, bold, and innovative work that you guys are doing. And hopefully it'll be a model and inspiration for other districts across the state as well to embrace it, because we definitely know that this is a level of exposure, and exposure helps to foster education within those marginalized groups and communities. And I'm also interested in, how did the community receive this new curriculum coming forward?
Yeah, so you know, a lot of those DNA tests, me and Ms. McHugh actually drove to the families' homes to actually get them done. You know, oftentimes we talk about student-centered instruction, but this was really like family-centered instruction, and the families were excited. I can't tell you how many of them said, "I wish I had this when I was a kid." And, you know, the community was they just honestly hadn't heard anything like it. And it was just like, they were excited about being an opportunity. And I was sharing with them, with the partnership with African Ancestry. They are actually the only company in the world that offers the DNA that traces back to Africa, to the origins of the tribe, before European borders. So, when we talk to African ancestry, no, we're not the first district to use their services, but we are the first district to use it within the curriculum. And so, we share with several families that their children will be the first to ever do this. So it's kind of their own historical moment for the course. So I will tell you, it was open arms. Families were excited. Very little, again, one of the things that we have to work on from a district standpoint is really getting more students enrolled into the course, because once it was approved, we literally had to turn it around and get the curriculum written and get everything done. But that would be the only thing I would say is getting more kids enrolled for this upcoming school year in the course. And we're, again, I know the counselors and the principals have done a phenomenal job making sure that it's placed in the right point of the day. And not at the back end of the school day where athletics will impact athletics. So we're being very strategic about where that course is actually offered to engage and get more students to be able to take part of it as well.
Rolanda, could you say a little bit about your experiences and things that you learned in leading this work at the school level?
Well, what I learned was the importance of training a staff that, the things that, well, let me just kind of back up. So when you're working with BRES and some of the things that you learn, they're very unnatural. It's very unnatural for some of our teachers who have not maybe engaged in the work of Teach Like a Champion. Because our classroom stated expectations that teachers naturally had to kind of think about and implement was, providing that time, body, and voice. For an example, I at a level 0 in 5 seconds, I'd like for you to get out your math journal. That is not how we sometimes communicate with our students in regards to what the expectation is for them to implement, not only in the classroom, but all the way, in the hallways, in the cafeteria. So providing that consistency across the school was very, very important. And when you're building that whole school culture, it didn't matter which staff member actually addressed the students, because we were a family. And we really focused on what was school culture, what did it look like, what did it sound like. So it isn't something that you actually, like I said, do natural, but you prepare your staff. So a lot of PD came into place, and working with staff. So we actually have, with the ACE Demonstration Design Lab at J.A. Hargrave, I love saying that name because I'm very proud, is having those 5 professional development days prior to the school, to opening up the school and getting prepared is crucial, because it allows you to work with your staff, going ahead and planning those lessons that really included that understanding of what is an LO. How do I unpack this SC to really look at what we really need students to learn? The one thing that I also enjoyed is being able to go in as a leadership team. And our leadership team composed of the counselor, the AP, and we have 2 instructional specialists, reading and math, and actually be able to identify where a teacher was with implementing the gradual release, the I do, the we do, the you do, and what should be occurring. So then when we did provide that observational feedback to teachers and gave them feedback of how they were doing, we could really specifically be intentional and focus on those specific areas to help them to continue to grow. And so it's not something that is easy. It is a lot of hard work, but I am so glad that I had the opportunity, because it was like PD for me to have my own coach, and came out and actually held us accountable and to, you know, to do the work.
Definitely.
And of course, you can see the results are rewarding.
Definitely. So, you know, I recognize that we can be on here all day talking about this, and I appreciate everyone. I definitely want to give a shout out to Ms. Velasquez Tori with Empower. They've done a lot of work behind the scenes working with us, Crowley ISD, but I'll be remiss if I didn't point them out. So definitely. Mr. Barber, I think we're good. If there's anything else, I think we're going to go ahead and close it out.
Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. Thank you to the Crowley team. Thank you all. We'll head over to our next session.
All right, thank you.